My name is Janie McDaniel, and I am the Director of Admissions for the Yale PA Online program. I'm here today to share with you my poster entitled Innovation in the Ivy League, Online Physician-Assisted Education. So before I begin, I would like to thank the NAAHP for giving me the opportunity to present this poster and to share the innovations in PA education that our program has created. I'm sure many of you, as health profession advisors and undergraduate faculty members, are unaware of some of the nuances in PA education. So my goal today is to share with you information about this new learning model and allow you to better advise your students who may be particularly interested in practicing primary care medicine as a PA, either in their home communities or in underserved communities, medically underserved communities. My goal is to provide new and experienced advisors, as well as faculty, a better understanding of PA education in a hybrid online setting. The Yale PA Online program is the first of its kind in the country, and it allows students to complete their didactic year of instruction entirely online. So I'm hoping that this information will help you better counsel your students who are from medically underserved areas of the country and who are interested in completing their PA education in their home communities. While we also enable them to establish a clinical rapport with the medical providers in the area. And I think that's very important because by staying in their home communities, they are able to do this. They're able to reach out to the medical providers in their area. They actually work with some of them. And so they establish that clinical rapport that is so important and helps them ultimately provide medical care in those same communities where they're practicing. Additionally, this presentation is also going to provide you with an overview of the curricular content of the Yale PA Online program, which will help you better counsel your students. So as you know, with COVID-19 and the resulting pandemic, many of the PA programs in the country, and in fact many of the educational institutions of the country, have moved to online learning. As you are probably aware, this has been very challenging. Many PA programs across the country have made curricular enhancements because of this, and which allows specific parts of the course to be delivered online. But our program has actually succeeded in delivering almost the entire didactic curriculum in an online format. We feel that the future PA education in particular is found in many of these innovative technologies that are available in online education. And they include things like enhancing student knowledge retention and offering feedback to learners. Our program, the Yale PA Online program, has successfully incorporated these technologies into a problem-based learning curriculum, which uses the Socratic method in a blended learning environment to enhance program outcomes. So I'm going to walk you through our curriculum, give you an idea of how it's done in a blended format, and I do have some face-to-face interactions that we'll talk about as well, but I want to start out by talking about the online technology. So blending those latest innovations that we've talked about in online technology with our problem-based learning curriculum enables our program to engage students online while providing feedback in real time. The online curriculum, in particular our PBL cases, allow students to work through patient cases using the Socratic method, and faculty members can ask probing questions to dive deep into the subject matter. I'm going to go into this a little bit more in just a few minutes, but I just wanted to start out. That's kind of the crux of our curriculum, and I wanted to start out by mentioning the problem-based learning. Some of the other technologies we use, one of the technologies is called Bidirectional Learning Tool, or a BLT. And in those instances, students can work through a problem independently, submit their answers to the questions that are presented as they move through the problem. And this, once they submit their answers, then they get faculty feedback, which helps enhance their learning. And I think that's particularly helpful to students as they first generate their own answers. Then they get reinforcement and rationale for the answers from that faculty feedback. We also have traditional lectures. They're recorded and transmitted to students for viewing and reviewing. But I will say these lectures are recorded in a professional setting. They are not taken from the back of a classroom where you have someone standing with a camera taking a video of someone recording a lecture, or someone giving a lecture rather. And they're not done on Zoom, which can be go on seemingly forever. But in our case, both professor and the slides are presented simultaneously in the presentation so that students can observe the presentation and also can observe any annotations that the faculty makes on the slides as the lecture progresses. In addition, we provide closed captioning for our presentations and the ability to print out the transcript. All of our lectures and BLTs are presented asynchronously, so the students can listen to them at whatever time of day best meets their needs. So it can be in the morning, if they're a morning person, it might be late at night if they're an evening person, or if they have other family issues to attend to. We do release our curriculum 1 week at a time, so students can focus on that week. There is a logical sequence to our curriculum, and we release it 1 week at a time because if we release the whole term, we know students well enough to know that they would probably skip ahead, find the things they want to focus on and focus on that, but we realize that there's a logical progression to the curriculum, so we release it 1 week at a time. We do use online testing technology, which allows us to deliver quizzes and tests in an online setting, and we do have proctoring software available as needed. Now, I've talked a little bit about our asynchronous work that we do, but we enhance the students' learning with asynchronous learning. And these are our PBL groups. I mentioned those a little bit earlier, and this is also mentioned in the first bullet on the slide here, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Students in groups of 12 to 15 work with a faculty member. They typically meet 3 times a week, 2-hour sessions. And we use a software program that has patient cases. And those cases are actually aligned with our organ-based curricular content. So our curriculum moves through with organ systems. And so, for instance, this past week, our students are in the cardiology unit, so their case was a cardiology case. And what we did was Monday, and this is what happens every week. Monday they meet the patient, they get a kind of like if they were going to walk into the patient room, here's what the patient's here for. So then they walk in and they start talking to the patient. They can ask history questions, they can get past medical history, family history, ask what the patient, why are they there, what's going on, give me some symptoms that you're having. We'll do a review of systems. They can also get some physical exam as well, and they develop, as a result of getting all this, they develop learning issues. And those learning issues can be things like, for instance, this last week with the cardiology case, the students were like, I think maybe we need to know a little bit, the patient had left ventricular hypertrophy, and the students can say, what is that and what would cause that? So some of them will make that a learning issue. They'll go research that and report back. So each student at the end of the Monday session will have a learning issue that they take with them, and they develop that and bring it back. On Wednesday, they present their learning issues and they discuss it in the group. It's also available in a written format for review by the students once they leave the group. They have a document that they keep it on a Google Doc or a OneNote or whatever. Then on Monday, once they go through their learning issues, they can actually order more physical exam studies. They can do diagnostic studies, whatever. They work on narrowing their diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and developing more learning issues, such as maybe interpreting some of those diagnostic tests or physical exam maneuvers that they got today. So they'll make those learning issues. They go, they work those up. They come back on Friday. They discuss their LIs again. Then they develop an assessment and plan. And so that means, what's the final answer? What can we take our differential diagnosis and narrow it down to give us a final answer? And what are we going to do about it? So we really focus on Friday on the plan. What is the plan? Are we going to hospitalize the patient or not? What meds are we going to put them on? If we put them on meds, what dosages are we going to give them? Are there other procedures we need to order? We'll discuss outcomes. We'll discuss referrals. We'll discuss patient education, and that's extremely important. What can we do to educate this patient for some of their health issues? Um, we'll talk about social agencies that can provide patient support on discharge. So there's a lot of things that we cover in Friday that are related, that are above and beyond just the traditional, what you might consider traditional medical care. And the facilitator, you're probably wondering, what's the purpose of the facilitator in all this? Well, our job is to ask questions. So as they bring up a question or as they bring up a suggestion, I might say, well, why do you think that's what it is? Well, how are you going to do that physical exam maneuver? Um, you know, when do you want to prescribe this medication? How much are you going to give? So we don't give answers. We ask a lot of questions. So that's part of the beauty of problem-based learning if you've never worked with it before. So all of this, the asynchronous and the synchronous coursework, work together. All of these online technologies that we have are complemented by on-campus immersions. We have 3 on-campus immersions during the curriculum. And this is where the students actually learn some of the more structured nuances of medical education, such as cadaver dissection, learning and practicing physical exam skills, learning to perform basic procedures, things like that. So there are 3 immersions during the curriculum. There is a immersion 10 weeks in. This is where the students actually come to campus and they learn cadaver dissection. They actually get to be in the cadaver lab with one of the eminent professors at Yale who teaches anatomy. They'll also do some virtual anatomy. They will learn physical exam skills, and they practice those physical exam skills. And the other thing we do during that first immersion is we have a white coat ceremony where they get their white coat, which is always a highlight of that first immersion. They come back at 12 months. 12 months at the end of the didactic curriculum, they get some more cadaver dissection, and they get checked off on the physical exam. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about physical exam in just a second. But before I get to that, I want to tell you that our third immersion is at 28 months. So that's at the end of the curriculum. The students come back, they have a summative exam, and they have graduation. The summative exam is required by our accrediting body, and I'm proud to report that at the summative exam for the class of 2020, all the students passed that summative exam with flying colors. So we were very excited about that. So I want to go back for a minute because we talked about how we teach the students physical exam during the first immersion and we check them off on the second immersion. How do we teach physical exam online? This is always a question I get. And we have a unique way that we do this. We have a patient assessment course, and what happens is our course director for that course records the physical exam. The students watch it, and then they'll practice it and then record themselves doing this physical exam on a family member, a friend, whomever. They send that to the professor of the course, and she actually watches and gives feedback. And the advantage of that is that when she's watching a video, if she feels like she's missed something, she can rewind and watch it again. Did they put the stethoscope in the right place? Whereas you can't do that in person sometimes. And it just provides a really great opportunity for feedback. So I've talked a lot about our online curriculum. I've talked about the problem-based learning. I've talked about the fact that students can stay in their home communities, which is the second bullet of our poster here. And it allows them, by staying in their home communities, they can do their clinical rotations in their clinical rotations in and near their home, as well as gain experience working in teams and learning to maintain ethical medical practice. Another thing that we do, which is the third bullet on this poster, that's a really unique experience for a PA program, and we are one of the few PA programs in the country that does this, is we have a clinical experience in early didactic. And that clinical experience in early didactic means that first-year students go out and work 4 to 6 hours per week with a preceptor in their community. It can be a primary care preceptor, family medicine, internal medicine, urgent care. And in that setting, they get to practice physical exam skills, they get to take a history, they get to work with the patient, and that enables them to apply their didactic learning while they're doing it. It's a great experience for the students. They love it, and it gives them like 120 plus hours of direct patient care during the didactic year. I also want to mention, kind of as a just as a caveat, that our program is a primary care focus. I know a lot of PA programs in the country, some of them are specialty focuses. Ours is primary care, and our mission is to prepare PAs to provide compassionate, high quality, patient centered care as members of interdisciplinary teams in a primary care setting. So we do have that primary care focus. Now, if you look at the bottom of the poster, there's some discussion about admission statistics. You can see our cumulative undergrad GPA ranges from 3.47 to 3.90, and that's the middle 60% of the class. Patient care hours from about 1,400 to about 9,800, middle 60% of the class. And 20% of our students have advanced degrees. There's a lot more information about our admission statistics and our class profiles on our website that I'll talk about in just a second. And I'll give you reference to that. But I also wanted to mention clinical rotations. We didn't talk a lot about that. Our program is 28 months long. So the first 12 months are didactic. The last 16 months are clinical rotations. Of those clinical rotations, we have 15 4-week rotations that are in their home communities, or as close as we can get them to that. And during those clinical rotations, there are 7 focus areas that are mandatory. Things like family medicine, internal medicine, emergency medicine, things like that. And then we have 3 elective rotations. And we also have our 16th rotation, if you want to call it that, is a master's capstone where they actually do a research project. And they have a full month to complete that and to work on that. So that is not in combination with their clinical rotations. We've already talked about immersions, but I just want to note that that's on the bottom of the slide as well. We have 3 required 1-week on-campus immersions that are at Yale, at the Yale campus in New Haven. So as far as outcomes, we've already talked a little bit about that, but we are seeing some huge success. Our first cohort graduated in May. Students are now taking the national certification exam with a 100% pass rate so far. So we're very excited about that. Surveys of students to date have given excellent feedback on the didactic year as well as clinical experiences. So we surveyed the students at the end of the didactic year. They said they felt like it really prepared them well. And once they're in their clinical experiences, we're getting good feedback from that as well. Students are also receiving excellent feedback from preceptors regarding their preparation for clinical rotations. So just to kind of sum it all up, I just want to kind of pull it all together and tell you that the Yale PA Online program allows us to admit students who are unable to relocate to attend PA school. These students can remain in their home communities, they can network for jobs upon graduation, and they can give back to the rural and underserved communities where they live. And by expanding access through our online program, we hope to better address the shortage of primary care providers in the United States. The other thing I want to mention is that you'll notice at the top of the poster, there is a QR code that you can scan that will access our website. If you don't have the ability to do that, our website is paonline.yale.edu. So be sure to check out that our website. It'll have information on admissions, class profiles, curriculum content. I think there's anything there you might want to know about the program. My email is at the bottom of the poster, jane.mcdaniel@yale.edu. Please feel free to contact me if I can answer any questions you may have. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I look forward to hearing from you if you have questions and hope you have a great rest of your conference.